I just cannot express from all the words that I may be able to share today how amazing that feeling is, the bliss, the love, the heart opening, the connection to the cosmos, the connection to Pachamama. And it is because of these profound states of oneness that I decided to write this wild book. It's almost like an element of sadness where I think, oh my God, I want everybody on this planet to experience these psychedelic, sacred sexual states of oneness. And if they don't experience them, just like, oh my God, they're just not going to feel like they've lived on this planet and had a full life.
Welcome, tribe. I'm Maya Rose.
And I'm Gerald Rogers. We're about to embark on another mind-expanding episode where we dive deep into the realms of psychedelics, sex, and the superconscious.
This is a transformational experience of healing, manifestation, increased clarity, flow, and alignment.
So join us on this sacred journey as we receive the codes of transformation from scientists and psychonauts, shamans, tantra masters, mystics, and more.
Together, we'll unravel the secrets of plant medicine, sex magic, and other tools to tap into higher states of consciousness.
So why are we here? To answer the call, to share our passions and be advocates for alternative healing.
So get ready for a ride that transcends the ordinary and leads you to the extraordinary, because living a legendary life is not just a choice.
It's a sacred adventure. Welcome back to Psychedelics, Sex, and the Superconscious. I am so excited for today's interview. I have with us Astraeus, who we just connected with in a divine synchronistic moment at the Psychedelic Science event in Denver, Colorado. And it was interesting how, sometimes just like the right pieces, the right things happen in the right order. And it was so perfectly orchestrated. We were walking through and we saw this little flyer brochure for this book, and we're like, oh my gosh, this book looks exactly up our aisle. This is exactly what we're interested in. And the title of the book was Psychedelic, Sacred Sexuality. And so we saw that, and so I kind of took that little flyer that I saw. I'm like, I'm going to hold on to this because this is the book I need to go order. And then less than 30 minutes later, we're at our booth. We're promoting the podcast and the work that we're doing. And Astraeus comes up and starts engaging in a conversation. And turns out he's the author of the book, Psychedelic Sacred Sexuality. And we're like, oh my gosh, this can be more perfect. And so invited him right in that moment to be part of this podcast, because the work that he does and what he stands for is really helping people enhance their sexual experience through psychedelics and really understanding the nuances. And so we're going to dive deep with this. And so I want to go ahead and begin, Astraeus, just by giving you space and permission to just brag about yourself. Just tell us if you could give us a glimmer of who you are and like why you do what you do. Take us into your soul.
Yeah. Thanks, Gerald. Well, it's great to meet you and Maya at the meeting. That was an amazing meeting. And second one I've attended. It's so nice to just have it down the road here in Denver. I was able to ride my bike down there and catch all the good meetings. And I think the best part was just meeting people like you guys and reconnecting with my old friends, physicians and facilitators, therapists, et cetera, that I'd been in circle with. So it was pretty magical just from that standpoint. I don't want to brag about myself, but I'll give you just a little low-key background. I've been practicing functional medicine for a good 30 years now. I've been mainly doing work in the realms of hormone balancing, but a lot of sexual health in terms of doing things like exosomes and PRP to help guys and gals maintain optimal sexual function, and then hormone balancing, of course, to keep people at their best, because a healthy sex life means greater longevity. Longevity is a big part of my practice as well. And then I've been working with psychedelics personally for since college, but probably more readily for the last 20 years in various circles, whether it's ayahuasca in Peru, wachuma, psilocybin here in Colorado, where it's decriminalized, and many of the other psychedelics, and have just had an amazing opportunity to deep dive into this space on my own in circle, and then most magically with my amazing partner. And after, oh, I'd say 5, maybe even 10 years of just having these amazing states of oneness and ecstasy with my partner, and after many blissful post orgasmic states, I would just lie there saying, "Oh my God, I just really need to get this information out to the masses so that they can experience these unions of oneness and love and bliss and an awakening that is deeper than what I think we can achieve as an individual, and that depth that we can achieve, particularly in the divine masculine and feminine. And having my medical background has allowed me to have a scientific understanding of everything from the neurotransmitters that are stimulated by various molecules like MDMA stimulating dopamine, which can really jazz things up in the bedroom. And then psilocybin, hitting the 5-HT2A receptor and creating another magical element of flow with your lover. And then playing with all of these in a way that I've been able to more or less research and discover the doses that are safe and amazing to be in flow with your lover so that you can go deeper and further in your spiritual awakening and your connection to the cosmos and the infinite universe, as I would like to say. I think that there's a lot of information out there in terms of sacred sexuality around the realms of various forms of Tantra. There's all these schools that are teaching Tantra, ISTA, et cetera, and they do amazing work. And my book is not out there to be, an expert on Tantra. It's mainly to help share in a safe way modalities for trusted lovers to connect with one another and to find Tantra in their own unique way. And I kind of feel that Tantra, or just the sacred sexual flow, which is probably a better general form, is naturally brought to couples as they are in this sacred space. And it's almost like you need to get a course in it. You'll just naturally flow through the disinhibition that occurs to the default mode network, through your ability to feel each other's chakras, to be able to share unconditional love. It facilitates this natural process of Tantra that was discovered thousands of years ago, but seems to almost be downloaded into your body to be able to drop into that space. And I'm not saying don't do a Tantra class, but I'm saying a lot of it is in you naturally, and you'll find it through the use of psychedelics, without a doubt.
I love that. It's such a important conversation to have, and especially I like how you call it trusted partnerships, and then in sacred relationships. How do we actually utilize these tools in a way that enhances the inevitable magic that's there and deepen connections and access new levels of mind and spirituality in that. And it's funny because I think that on the broader scale there might be some stigma to combining psychedelics and sexuality. One time I posted something on Facebook, and this woman commented, "Don't you know you should never mix psychedelics and sex?" And I'm like, clearly you have never tried it.
Exactly.
Without question, it's like some of the most incredible lovemaking sessions, the most like cosmic orgasms, the most like really deep attunement that I've experienced in relationship with my Rose has been, on these days, we call them us days, that are just days that we block out. Nothing's going on. We stay in our room and we drop in with a medicine, either MDMA or sassafras or psilocybin or 2CB or whatever it might be, and we just explore each other and explore each other's hearts and unravel our souls in a way that creates a form of intimacy that is so far beyond anything I possibly could have imagined. Like I mean,
Okay.
it's not fair to like compare, but with my first wife, I was married for 16 years, and maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, our intimacy level got to a level 2 compared to what Maya Rose and I experienced at a level 10 with, combining these heightened states of consciousness with what we do. And once again, it's not fair to compare in relationships, but it's such a profoundly, you know, like a magnitude of depth that is so profound that, I really think that intentional and, sacred use of these medicines within relationships is one of the most powerful things you can do to deepen that. I would love to hear from you. Like, what was your first moment of experiencing that? Like, what was that moment for you where you combined psychedelics and sexuality in a way that like really opened yourself up to experience like how profound that can be?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for asking. And I really appreciate what you say about spending a full day together. I do that as well. We call it our Love Shack days. And sometimes it goes for 12 to 14 hours. Just insane how uh,
That's the
the
other
day
thing.
just blows by and it's like, oh my God, feels like it's been 2 hours, but it's been 14 hours. I mean, we start at
Yeah,
noon and we're
that's
done at 2 in the morning or so.
that's
Um,
the other thing that I want to emphasize is like, if like I feel like I've got a lot of eros, a lot of sexual energy, but in a non-medicine heightened state, maybe I've got capacity to go 40 minutes to an hour. But then in a
mhm.
heightened state, and we're dropping into these medicines, we're making love for 8, 9, 10 hours of just the most intense and magical and beautiful lovemaking experience. So
That's
just then you
exactly how it is
out.
for us. And yeah, and it's just such a natural flow without any agenda and just being there for each other. I also wanted to mention that, yes, I think that whoever decides to engage in psychedelics with their partner, I think number one, the individual should have at least a year of deep work with psychedelics, preferably a little bit longer, and particularly with the molecules or plant medicine that you want to enjoy with your partner. And then your partner needs to be somebody that you've been with for at least a year and you have a very trusted relationship. And you also are consenting to various levels of play and that you have a safe word and all those kind of things so that things don't get out of control and you've got some guardrails in there. I think it's gotten a bad name, psychedelics and sex, unfortunately, because of some of the misbehaviors that have unethical misbehaviors that have occurred in ceremonial circles, whether it's in Peru or Costa Rica or here locally in the States. And it's just sad that people are using plant medicines to take advantage of each other. Of course, this happens all the time with alcohol and has been for a long time. So I think, as individuals, we have to have responsibility and we have to trust our lovers and we have to know the medicine and we have to create a safe set and setting. It's just a matter of responsibility and people need to embrace that themselves and not try to play the blame game all the time. And I think if they have that intention of a safe set and setting and they stay clear of people that are suspect, then, this should be an amazing journey for folks. In regards to your question of when I really dove into it, yeah, probably I was married a little over 20 years and had a great marriage, but it never had the depth like you were saying. And I after I amicably ended our relationship, I found a partner on a trip to Peru. Actually, I was down at Lake Titicaca placing a sacred geometric form, this form actually, to activate the divine feminine energy of Mother Earth to help increase the vibrational energy, countering, all the dark stuff that we're currently seeing right now. And right now, I'm feeling like I need to place about 1,000 more of these. We connected very synchronistically, just like you and I connected at the meeting synchronistically. And she happened to be a tantric high level practitioner and also into plant medicine. And we aligned with each other very much happenstance in the airport. She caught a ride with me down to Copacabana, which is kind of the departure point in Bolivia to go to Island of the Sun and Lake Titicaca. And we ended up having an ayahuasca ceremony following the placement on the blood moon of the sacred form. And then after that, just the most crazy magic happened. We would do mainly psilocybin, but sometimes some of the other molecules, and just went deeper and deeper with each little exploration. She was living up in Squamish, Canada, so it was a little bit of a long distance relationship, but we had some amazing times, and we're still great friends. And now I'm with another lover who has been taking me to many deeper realms even. So yeah, it's just the journey continues, and here I am. I'm actually 61. It's crazy, to think I'm 61 and I've got a sex life that feels like I'm a 20 something year old, where I'm active every day, and just passionate with my lover, and at least once a week we're having these amazing love shacks, as we describe them, to go deeper into oneness, to go into bliss. And then, very importantly, what we try to do is we unite and spiral our energies together. And I oftentimes will flow in kind of a guided meditation at some point between our amazing sexual flow, light up into the cosmos, and then all around the world, to help heal and send love to all those that are suffering, and to send light so that people may shift their opinions about different things to make it a more peaceful, loving world as well. So there's this element of altruism that comes from sacred sexuality that I think all of us can embrace if we're able to tap into that at some point naturally during the flow. And it could be where you're in a yab yum embrace, the Buddhist position, where the female is sitting, on my lap, and we're just holding each other and oftentimes connecting our third eyes. Or it could be laying down, whatever it may be, and then just uniting your hearts and sending that beautiful light and love out into the universe. It's very profound in terms of the heart opening that you can experience as um, oneness couple, as I would call it. Have you had that kind of experience too, Gerald? Have you been able to
Yeah, for
tap
sure.
into pulsing energy out to the universe and whatnot?
Yeah, I've never done it that specific way, but one thing that we've done is we've, had our experiences as I'm kind of on top of her. We'll focus on each chakra one at a time, and we'll just like kind of guide our energy to like moving the energy from our sacral root chakra to our sacral to our solar plexus, and we just like focus on channeling that energy up, and almost like weaving it like a serpent up through our spines, and then focusing it on the pineal gland, and then using breath work as a way to like push the energy, from our
Yeah.
from our root to our crown. It's yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. We'll do a lot of tantric massage, and one of my favorite things to do is to, really put a lot of oil, or she's got this cream that's really like some kind of organic cream, and I'll be on her back doing, just some beautiful flowing of energy, working her buttocks and everything. And then I love to just kind of sit on her butt and kind of feel my perineum connecting to her root chakra. And then what I'll do is I'll just kind of slide up her back and back down, connecting our chakras. And then eventually I'll come forward and just feel my heart connecting to her. So we get that heart chakra after root chakra. And then she'll do the same, where she'll be on top of me and glide her yoni up and down my back. I call it, in a funny way, I call it, let's do some slippy slide, baby. And then it's just the most amazing foreplay to do, particularly when you're dropping in with MDMA or 2CB, because you're just so hypersensitive, and your ability to feel and move energy is profound compared to the normal non-medicine state. So that's been cool.
I would love to dive into some of the specific protocol that you do. Like what have been some very specific things that you've done to create this experience of sacred sexuality with psychedelics? Like what's some of your favorite
Yeah.
recipes for, you know, magic?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, happy to share. That's one of my favorite topics. So set and setting, right? So whether it's a bedroom or an outdoor space, I think you have to kind of talk to each other ahead of time and say, okay, where do we want this to happen? Are we going to be in the bedroom? Are we going to be on the floor with yoga mats? I tend to like to, when I'm here in Denver, be on the floor with yoga mats because I can ground out a little bit better than I can if I'm in a soft bed. But if I'm at my mountain place, I have a geodesic dome, which is amazing because I've got views of the stars and everything. And what we'll do is we'll bring out Tibetan bowls so that we can do some sound healing, like on the heart chakra with the bowl directly on there. I may roll her over and do some sound healing right on her lower spine. I love to bring crystals. I'm hugely into Lemurian crystals in particular, and I might just adorn her beautiful body with crystals from her heart chakra all the way down to her root. And the root chakra's always got a fairly big crystal so that I'm really able to energize that. And it may be that, I lay those on for a little while and then I'm doing a little bit of Reiki to work her chakras in that set and setting. And then the other overlay is very importantly, probably most importantly, is your playlist. And we've been into, Parangi a lot lately, Desert Dwellers, but I listen to mantra music and, sometimes EDM. It just depends on what's calling to us. May even be Native American music. And I think blending in that music with the alchemy of crystals, with the alchemy of Tibetan bowls, aromatherapy can oftentimes be good. So I have like a Palo Santo spritz that we might use, or actually burn Palo Santo or sage. And oftentimes we'll even do that before we drop into ceremony. And then having a bag of toys is always fun too. So I'm one of those guys. I'm not shy of bringing a few fun things in there, just so that if we need to grab something and have some fun in between our lovemaking, we can do that as well. How about you? What's your magic in the set and setting?
Yeah, for me, it's all about lighting and sound and texture, like really creating an environment where it's just like I love just putting candles. I have just like this massive bag of electric candles that we just like line the house, line the room with. And yeah, we've got our favorite like sex magic playlists, and sometimes it's like she loves cello music and it's just more like orchestral, like symphony music, and sometimes it's like
Mhm.
got a good like sexy like naughty beat to it, and sometimes it's more like healing music. But I've got my playlist for sure, and just having good sound experiences is essential. And then just water, and then yeah, we have something we call a pleasure bag. And so the pleasure bag
Mhm.
is that has all the textures. It's got like a rabbit fur glove, it's got silk scarves, it's got like the little feather wands, and
Oh
it's
yeah,
got a
perfect.
big elk skin flogger, that we got off Etsy. It's got all these different textures that we can play with as we're, as I'll blindfold her and just like start the foreplay. But it's just really about creating an environment where she can completely surrender and just
Yeah.
feel held and loved, and making sure there's lots of water. The other thing we have too is just because, yeah, when like a few years ago, like her, like it got activated in her, like she squirts a lot, like that just
Hmm.
happened as we were, having one of our lovemaking. And so now we just need a big waterproof blanket if we're going to like really go
Yeah.
for it, and
Oh
just like
yeah. My partner does the same thing, and oh my God, had a huge squirt the other night. I had to like change the sheets. It was so so much, so I did like a gallon in there. Yeah, no, that's so funny. You have that fun challenge as well. But yeah, I think having a fun bag to be able to take to your bedroom or outdoors, wherever you want to go, is so important. And for hydration, which is extremely important, I love coconut water. I usually throw in a nice little container of fruit so we're able to keep our glucose up there a little bit too, because we can go at it for quite a while. And then at some point, maybe we'll take a break and we'll hit the fridge and grab a pint of, Ben and Jerry's or something just to help us keep going there. But yeah, I don't eat a whole lot other than just little snacks during the Love Shack day. The sacred geometric forms, again, I was talking about that with placing it in Lake Titicaca. Have this smaller one that's baseball size, and I've been really deep on the medicine where I'm almost so deep that sometimes it's difficult to even get into lovemaking. I can sometimes work with these forms and see chakras and just flow it over a heart chakra and just have her suddenly have this clearing or release. So I think people want to get geometric forms. I don't have any financial interest in these things, but there's a company called Metaforms, and then the Buddha Maitreya group out of California makes some cool ones. There's probably other places, but I actually was working with a smaller one of these over her yoni, and to my huge surprise, she had just the most amazing orgasm, simply gently rolling it over her clitoris and over the yoni region. It was just truly mind blowing to think that something is non-tactile, but more of an energetic form could do it. So it really gave me this aha moment that yeah, there's much more that exists within a sacred geometric form than meets the eye. So something
I really
we'll
think that would
comes
be
of
like a
it.
great business opportunity. Sacred geometry sex toys. I think that would be like.
Yeah,
I think it'd be.
right. So yeah, this is like true magic. The only other thing, would be like the clitoral like suction things. Those are pretty magical for gals too, right? But I think that exploring and being willing to be adventurous and playful with sacred geometric forms and being playful with, the oral sex and all the other amazing avenues that you can go to can really allow you to go deeper and further, without a doubt. I found that and I definitely need to share this. This is for informational purposes only. I'm not recommending things, right? And also be aware of the legality of different psychedelics in your state or country that you're at. So be totally aware of that. But I wanted to share the most profound combination for me at this point in time, and I've been working with a lot of different molecules, is the combination of MDMA with 2CB. 2CB is a phenylethylamine that was discovered by Alexander Shulgin out in California, and it's one of his favorite three. It's a empathogenic or enactogen, it's, various different classifications that is very heart opening, not as profoundly heart opening as MDMA, but pretty darn close to it, like an 8 out of 10 MDMA experience, but without the nature of spanking you the next day and having that post roll, oh my God, I just want to sit around and look at the mountains all day kind of experience. With if you just do 2CB by itself, you're actually going to be completely yourself the following day with an amazing experience. And what I found is that if I do around 50 milligrams of MDMA with about 12.5 milligrams of 2CB, it's like the perfect combo for sacred sexual flow. It lasts 4 hours, and then you can always boost with another 12.5 or maybe a 6 milligram and keep that love shack going for a total of 12 or even more hours. Now, if you're boosting, of course, you're going to be a little more tired the next day, but you're able to stay in this flow that enables partners to just go deeper and deeper throughout the day and the evening, and to have these moments where you're just holding each other and you really do feel like you become one. And I just cannot express from all the words that I may be able to share today how amazing that feeling is, the bliss, the love, the heart opening, the connection to the cosmos, the connection to Pachamama. And it is because of these profound states of oneness that I decided to write this wild book. It's almost like an element of sadness where I think, oh my God, I want everybody on this planet to experience these psychedelic, sacred sexual states of oneness. And if they don't experience, I'm just like, oh my God, they're just not going to feel like they've lived on this planet and had a full life. So writing the book, the big motivation was, even if I could just get 10 more people to experience it, that's amazing. But I'd love for it to be hundreds of thousands. And part of the challenge, I think, is in this crazy world, access this affordable to, the more challenged socioeconomic populations, and finding ways through nonprofits and medicine groups to share this medicine in an affordable way so that they too can experience it. And it may be as simple as doing psilocybin, which is very affordable. I think some of the other ones can be a little more, like 2CB, not a whole lot, $20 or so, right? But, again, safe access to it and creating opportunities legislatively to where we can decriminalize these things that are actually opening our hearts and making us more empathetic, loving, altruistic, good human beings on this planet, and recognizing those benefits, thus decriminalizing them, and then focusing the efforts on things that hurt people, being fentanyl, heroin, alcohol, all those other things that are really killing people. I mean, how many people are losing their lives as a result of psilocybin? I mean, it's what, 10 in the past decade or something, whereas alcohol, we lose over 100,000 a year from alcohol alone. Fentanyl death, 50,000 a year. So, my God, let's focus on where the problem is and allow people to do this work to become more loving, nurturing people, and come together in this divided world. That's my
No,
philosophical
it's,
tangent there. Sorry about that.
yeah, I appreciate that, and obviously it's a long debate about legalized versus non-legalized substances, and like actual the root of it. Like I have this philosophy. It was never actually a safety issue that drove them to be criminalized chemicals. It was more of a control issue. It's really hard.
Yeah, it was the Nixon Substance Abuse Act of 72, where he was very upset about the uprisings at Kent State during the Vietnam War, where he just shut it down.
Super hard to convince people that go to war in a war that doesn't make sense when their hearts are opened and their minds are free. It's super hard to control those people. So
Yeah. And so I'm hopeful, just like Rick with MAPS, Rick Doblin, that we'll make sense out of this and utilize these in a responsible way that's going to change society for the better, and try to get the things that are really killing people out of
yeah,
the
and I
pipeline.
think really at this point, I mean, I love that there's these big initiatives with policy and a lot of exciting stuff moving forward. And I think even more importantly, culturally, and individually for us to like be responsible, to be really responsible with our use of these entheogens, be responsible with, how we treat ourselves and how we treat others, and to do it in a very caring and intentional way. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. And with the groups like, what's the one, Fireside Chat out of San Francisco, providing free coaching for people that are having a bad trip, or need advice on dosing so that they don't cause harm to themselves or others. I think safety is such an important part of it, and having these open discussions is critical, for people to understand how they can safely do it. And speaking of MDMA, I mean, you definitely need to be checking it for fentanyl. And I tell everybody, even if they have a trusted person who's sending it to them, always sacrifice a few of them and do the NAT safe testing to make sure you're A-OK there.
What is your way of testing?
I use the Dance Safe test strips, and you can order those online. I've been able to get mine free actually at many of the psychedelic meetups that we have here in Colorado. And then I always keep a spray bottle of Narcan on hand just in case there's one random thing that looks worrisome for a fentanyl overdose. Those you can buy, I believe, over the counter, but I've also gotten them free at psychedelic club meetings. So
What
I
are
think
those
everybody,
again? Say those again. It's a spray bottle of Nar.
Yeah, it's like almost like a Flonase bottle. It's called Narcan. And I think anybody who is using any of the synthetics should have at least one or two of those. I mean, ideally two. If it's two of you that are partaking. And then, if you're really feeling like something is off, just go ahead and prophylactically give yourself a spray to be on the safe side.
That just diminishes whatever the effects of.
Yeah, so Narcan will bind with the opioid substance of fentanyl and completely reverse it. So when you see first responders going to attend to somebody who's down on a sidewalk, a homeless person who's probably taking fentanyl or heroin, the first thing they do is they squirt that in their nose. And
Huh.
if they respond, then you got your answer. And that can be life-saving. So yeah, I think everybody should have that in their toolkit, at least in their house somewhere.
Wow, that's a good practical tip. I would love to hear any other practices within the, I guess, lovemaking ceremony that you have to deepen connection or to enhance pleasure or to manifest or activate sex magic. I would love to hear some more of your like things you've cultivated as like little tools or tricks in the tool bag.
Yeah, I was just thinking of off the top of my head, I've definitely found that going deep with G-spot activation in my partner can be pretty profound, and oftentimes that magic is occurring, during oral sex where I may be just doing kind of that come hither movement while I'm twirling my tongue around her clitoris. That can be really profound in the early stages of lovemaking to kind of get her to that plateau stage. And then at that point, I found that it can be where she's so activated from the medicine, from that activation of foreplay, that having 20, 30 orgasms, believe it or not, is not uncommon. Now, I won't be able to do something like that, obviously. So it may be making love and then going back to oral sex and kind of alternating back and forth between things, but that can just be, some magic that we've created. And then I think between lovemaking, doing more of the tantric massage, the breath work while in a yab yum to kind of accelerate and connect the heart is another deep practice that we've gotten into. If we're called to do some sound healing to help ground out ourselves or to help clear something that we're holding into our heart chakra, that can be great. My partner has learned to do energy work on me and clear stuff that just suddenly feels like it's come up on my back, and she'll extract it and clear it. That can be great. And then, she'll do some amazing, oral sex with me as well. One of the kind of kinky ones we'll do is she'll do some play on my G spot, which is on my prostate with her finger, or sometimes a little toy, and then just kind of slowly torture me for hours. Now, this is usually kind of towards the end of a love shack day because I found that, when you're 3 or maybe 4 into it as a guy, it takes a little bit more stimulation to get that last release. So the stimulation of the G spot and the guy can be the magic to finally help you get that third or fourth one done. And then the nature of it will be atomic in terms of the explosion of that combination of
How do
G
you
spot.
access the G spot in a guy?
Great question. So, and a gal can go in, with one of her main fingers, and then you can just be on your back, or you could be kind of leaning forward with her coming from behind, and then you can be entertaining yourself while she's entertaining your G spot. But I found that lying on my back with her using a finger and then getting right into the middle of the prostate gland, which is shaped kind of like a walnut. Now I'm going to put on my Dr. Ruth hat here, shaped like a walnut. And then what you'll do, I'm just trying to see if I've got something. So this is the prostate, my little AirPod thing. Your partner will just kind of go circular around it with a medium pressure going up towards your belly button. in that direction. And if you stimulate the penis at the same time, you'll have the most amazing blowout as I described with that mechanism, better than any orgasm you'll have in the traditional way. Now, if she's like, "Oh, Gerald, there's no way I'm going to put my finger up your butt," or whatever, you can buy like a Lilo prostate massager, which you don't have to get a big one. It could be a reasonably sized one. They've got all sorts of shapes and sizes, but the Lilo one is nice because it's reasonable, and they can put that in, and then while it's kind of doing a little bit of a movement, pressing up on the prostate while vibrating on your G spot, they can go down on you. Sometimes the stimulation on the G spot can be so much that it can be a little challenging to maintain a full woody, but most of the time it's not a big issue. And then within, I'd say, 5 minutes or so, you're going to have the most insane screaming orgasm, I promise you, that you've ever had in your life. And if you've been doing MDMA, LSD, 2CB, because of the nature of the serotonin stimulation, it can sometimes delay your ability to achieve orgasm. You've probably seen that. It's like, oh my God, when am I going to come? When am I going to come? I want this to happen. This will help get you over the hump. But when you get over the hump, it's going to be at least fourfold in terms of the intensity, if not more. So you will be blown away. Just as a woman is completely, wrecked, as I call it, when you have a G spot with a clitoral orgasm at the same time, it is just, expanding and explosive in terms of the nature compared to just a clitoral orgasm by itself. So, in a nutshell, the guy's G spot is just as powerful as the woman's, but it's located on the prostate, which isn't the most fun place for gals to access. But I think every guy, if they're willing, and their partner, if they're willing, should play with that zone, when you're ready. And
It's amazing. It was worth doing the podcast just for that little
that little tidbit, yeah. But yeah, that's kind of, I would say, that is our end of Love Shack strategy, because she's had all these O's throughout the day, and I've had a few, and I'm just like, oh my God, I would just love one more before I go to bed, and that's usually what we reach for out of the toy bag, and she fires that up, or she uses her finger, depending on what she's resonating with that night. So yeah, it's crazy stuff.
It's amazing. I know earlier in journey, especially doing hard medicine like MDMA or sassafras, most men have a challenge, getting erect and staying hard. Like what do you do in that to
Yeah,
compensate?
great question. I write about that in the Psychedelic Sexuality book. I think, for the first couple of hours, you just be in flow with it, and you do tantric massage and oral sex, and then, if you're lucky enough and you're able to make love within that first 2 hours, so be it. But you don't have this agenda. You're just like, all right, yeah, I'm ready to roll. Let's have fun and make love, or let's give it a little more time. Now, some guys will do a little, low dose Cialis or Viagra to kind of counter that a little bit. I think that can be helpful, but it's definitely not a for sure woody mitigator. I would say that the challenge that exists with MDMA is it's activating the sympathetic nervous system, and it's that sympathetic overdrive, which is what we actually, guys, will have with performance anxiety. Same kind of thing can happen with MDMA, because it's ramping up your nerves and you're just feeling a little, shaky. That doesn't allow you to go into parasympathetic, which is the relaxed state, which then allows the erection. So you can sometimes, in my opinion, like Neuromag can calm you a little bit. CBD, about 60 to 100 milligrams, can calm your nerves a little bit to where you're able to go parasympathetic and achieve a good erection. But other times, yeah, a little bit of rocket fuel can help, or just giving it the tincture of time. And in a way, when I've reflected back on days where I'm like, oh yeah, it took me like 2 hours, because I was on 150 of MDMA before I could really make love with her. I'm like, that was totally good because it just made me focus on her, and I was biting her ass and kissing her all over her body and sliding all over her body and connecting instead of like looking at the end game. It was just
Yeah.
making
That's something I
tantric love to
emphasize a lot, is just reminding guys that they have more than just one tool to bring their woman pleasure and to really experience it. And so it's,
Yeah.
it's sometimes a great gift, that we don't get hard. And I have done Viagra and Cialis. Those tend to give me like a headache though, like too much blood flow to, I guess, both heads. So yeah, I much prefer the more natural.
Yeah. I try to avoid them too. Another thing that I recommend to my patients is a nitric oxide supplement by Berkeley Life, which is a beet extract, and that can help quite a bit too.
Hmm.
And you don't get any side effects from that. But yeah, I think that being in flow, not having an agenda, just being pure love, and then when love making feels right and natural, let it happen, but don't go with an agenda or an end game in mind. I think that's so key.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. What a beautiful and deep, profound conversation. So, once again, everyone, you can find Astraeus' book, Psychedelic Sacred Sexuality. You can find it on Amazon. He has a website that you can also track him down on. What are the other best ways for them to learn more from you, or to follow you, or to move forward with the next stage in their psychedelic sacred sexuality adventure?
Yeah, thanks. I think just going to the psychedelicsacredsexuality.com site, and if you need to message me there, you can. I am working on getting out the audiobook. Finally, I meant to do this a couple of years ago, so that's going to be coming out in August. So for those of you that are like, oh, I don't want to have a crazy book on my coffee table for the in-laws to look at. It's a beautiful book, by the way. This is Autumn Sky's painting. She's from the Pacific Northwest. Beautiful kind of imagery of the sacred masculine and feminine there. But yeah, go to the website. You can order it there. It'll link you to Amazon or to Barnes and Nobles, and then the audiobook coming out late August. And I'll be posting more information up there. I've got all sorts of cool things like on how to do sound bowl healing. You can see this where I've got a Tibetan bowl on my root chakra and then on the yoni, different techniques that you can utilize that are kind of partner yoga and sound healing to amplify. We didn't talk about that a whole lot. This is a cool position. I call it the root lock. I figured this out on MDMA, and you're basically just feeling your perineums together energetically while you're deep in a entheogenic journey, and that could be a great space to be, for 5 or 10 minutes to connect. So yeah, check out the website, and then definitely again, be safe, consent with your partners. Make sure you have experience, create that amazing set and setting. Remember that this is just informational and I'm not recommending it. You can do with the information what you would like. And then go to those deep spaces of oneness. I really want everybody to find that space. It exists. And I really feel that in relationship with your partner, and even if I should say, even if you are a gay couple, you can totally go there as well. Whatever your sexual orientation is possible to flow there. And me being a heterosexual, I'm giving you the heterosexual perspective, but I honestly feel that it's open to anyone and everyone, regardless of their orientation. It's just a matter of being heart open and being willing to flow into that space of oneness.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And please come back for our next episode coming up very soon. For Psychedelics, Sex, and the Superconscious, Astraeus, thank you so much. And till next time, everyone, remember, this is your life. Make it legendary.
Thank you so much, Gerald.
Thank you, legendary explorers, for joining us on this cosmic journey today.
Your curiosity fuels our exploration of psychedelics, sex, and the superconscious.
If you're hungry for more, dive into our website and connect with us on social media. All the links are in the show notes.
And stay tuned for our next mind-expanding episode. We can't wait to talk to you again in our next adventure.
Until then, remember, this is your life. So,
make it legendary.